Resident Evil and Silent Hill are without a doubt the biggest game franchises out there for horror games, and if you might notice that they've also transcended into movies, books, comic books, tie-in stuff, all sorts of crazy medium stuff. But a lot of people don't really like the officially licensed movies, so I wanted to talk about two movies that I think are absolutely phenomenal and really genuinely capture the spirit of both of these horror titans. Now, obviously, it goes without saying, if you want to watch the movies that directly inspired these franchises, obviously Romero's Living Dead saga is perfect for Resident Evil, and Jacob's Ladder is perfect for Silent Hill. Those are both absolutely phenomenal movies that I definitely think you should check out. But for this video, I just wanted to talk about two movies in particular that are kind of on the more obscure side, and I think just really encapsulate that feeling these games give me perfectly. So I picked one movie that was basically like literally just Resident Evil incarnate, and the other is like Silent Hill incarnate. We'll get into my first movie we got here, and that is The Void. Depending on which region you came in, it might have been 2016 or 2017 it was released, but this is just a really phenomenal movie. I watched this when it first came out, and I recently rewatched it, and, you know, because I was like, oh man, you know, I watched it years ago, I hope it held up good, because I recommend this movie to a lot of people. It's just an all-around really, really fantastic movie. Just before we get into the Silent Hill similarities, it's like a Lovecraftian, like, cosmic horror kind of deal. It's got practical effects for all the monsters, just like a John Carpenter movie would. The cast is really great. If you're a fan of Letterkenny, for example, there's a few of the actors from it in this. Yeah, because it's a Canadian movie. Knives Chow is also in it, Scott Pilgrim, and she learns that creepy 23-year-olds are not the scariest thing in the world. So, yeah, it's got that going for it. And then, now into the Silent Hill-ish kind of similarities, you know, it follows this cop that winds up picking up this, like, really, like, whacked-out dude off the side of the road on his shift. He brings it to the only hospital that's open, and throughout the course of the movie, the people trapped inside the hospital are being stalked by this weird, like, cult that's kind of trapping them in there, and they're kind of tied to this, like, cosmic universe that they're trying to, like, you know, usher in, like, a new era of humanity kind of plot, I guess you could say. I'm kind of explaining it poorly because I don't want to spoil anything if you guys do decide to watch this. But yeah, so as the survivors look for a way out of the hospital, they uncover that there is an entire other dimension that this dude is trying to bring through into our world. And there's even scenes of like an other world and stuff like that in the movie as well. Like the hospital will contort and the walls and stuff like that will change into this, like, you know, other dimension kind of deal. And if that's not Silent Hill, I don't know what it is. I mean, for starters, there's a hospital in almost every Silent Hill game. You know, the environment changing between dimensions and stuff like that. You have, like, a lot of themes of, like, guilt and repressed emotions and stuff like that that also play a big part in the story as well. And overall, just the way the monsters are designed and stuff is just absolutely awesome. And this movie is really just, in my opinion, Silent Hill to a friggin' T. But, so yeah, that's The Void. Definitely check it out. Now this one is a little bit of an oldie. This is actually around from the Romero era of movies. It is The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Now, this is honestly just one of the best zombies movie ever, and like I said, you know, similar with The Void, I'll go over just the basics of the movie before I get into like the similarities of it, just so you guys know it's like actually a pretty cool movie. You know, it's not just, oh, it's literally just like Resident Evil, you know what I mean? So, alright, Living Dead at Manchester Morgue has a super interesting plot. So for starters, I guess we can go a little into the Resident Evil similarities. Like Resident Evil, it's not voodoo like a lot of early zombie movies were. It is related to a scientific kind of experiment gone wrong that leads to the zombies in this movie. And he joins two main characters. You have George and Edna, I believe her name is. And kind of like Leon and Claire in Resident Evil 2, they're brought together by a unfortunate circumstance. They're brought together. George, I believe, is going to a new house he buys in the countryside. He's meeting up with his boys. They're going to go fix it up. And then Edna's going to see her sister in Manchester. But both of them wind up going to Manchester because she totally wrecks his motorcycle. And then he has to, like, go with her. Then she won't have enough time. Her sister's, like, going through some shit. And then, once in Manchester, they learn that there are some dead people walking around that probably shouldn't be. But what makes this cool is that it's more of an investigative, like, mystery kind of movie, which is where, you know, it kind of plays into more of the Resident Evil similarities as well. So George and Edna are basically, like, running around town, trying to find out what's going on with this whole thing. And the cops think that they're like some, words I would probably get banned for saying on YouTube.
You're all the same, the lot of you, with your long hair and faggot clothes.
Hey. But also, like, a weird Satanist kind of couple that are, like, murdering people around town, but it's really the handiwork of the zombies and the scientific experiment that's going on in the town. So throughout the movie, you have them not only fighting zombies, but also trying to reveal the true cause of the zombies and what's actually going on, and like kind of like butting heads with the police and stuff like that. Overall, it's just, I would say, a really unique movie, and it's actually been the inspiration for one of my all-time favorite other movies, Shaun of the Dead. Edgar Wright, actually, I don't know if you could see it here, I'll put up a picture of it, but Edgar Wright, his review of it is actually on the back in the red right here, and he's the director of, obviously, Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, and Hot Fuzz. And you could really see it in, like, a lot of the way this movie is shot, that he definitely, like, took some, like, camera cues and stuff like that from it, because the way it's shot is totally like an Edgar Wright movie, which I think is really cool. And it's from the 70s, I believe? Don't quote me on 1974, I was right. Yeah. But, so yeah. Again, just another really good movie that's got a lot of, like, Resident Evil vibes in it and stuff like that. There's also this one really amazing scene, or, I'd say probably midway through the movie, where they go to the church and there's a crypt underneath the church, and the crypt looks exactly like the room with the Elder Crimson Head in the Resident Evil 1 remake. And the atmosphere is just really good. I really like the acting in it. The soundtrack is actually really friggin' good, too. It's got, like, a weird mixture of, like, actual, like, music and stuff, but then mixed with, like, kind of, like, zombie growls and moaning and stuff. It's just really friggin' cool. And like I said, I don't know if you guys caught it before, but yeah, George drives a motorcycle, kind of like, you know, Claire did in Resident Evil. He's got like a biker leather jacket on, kind of like reminds me of like Leon's alt costume in Resident Evil 2. So George and Edna's dynamic kind of mimics, I'd say, Leon and Claire's in Resident Evil 2 a lot, which is why it's just, I think, a really cool idea off of that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about The Living Dead of Manchester Morgue. Or it was also known as Let Sleeping Corpses Fly, so it might be under 2 different names. It's also free on YouTube, by the way, and The Void is also free on, I believe Amazon has it for free, and it's also free on that Freeverse app, so it's got like ads and stuff, but it's really cool. Yeah, so this is actually pretty hard to get on physical now. It did not get a crazy wide release, but I am glad it's at least on streaming and stuff like that. This is actually, I don't know if you can see, it's a Spanish copy of the movie. I could also switch it to English too in the settings if I could read enough Spanish to manage the settings, but yeah, it's friggin' just a really awesome movie. I don't know if you can see, there's a last little eye logo there. But so yeah, if you're looking for really good Resident Evil Silent Hill-like movies, I would definitely start with these 2 for sure, and they're lesser known movies. I hope you guys, you know, didn't know about them, and I gave you guys a favor, or maybe if you did know them and you just like hearing about them more, you know, seeing these 2 movies get more recognition. Yeah, either way, let me know in the comments, though. What do you guys think? Do you like these movies? Have you never seen them before? Are you going to go check them out? Do you have any recommendations of your own? Either way, would absolutely love to hear them in the comments. Love interacting with any fellow horror fans, especially Resident Evil and Silent Hill fans. So, yeah, dude. And if you like everything so far up to this point, subscribe too. I make videos like this all the time, so if that's your jam, it's my jam too, so bam!